Hey folks, welcome back to More Than a Refresh, the T3D sessions. We are on a Postgres theme today with Lev Kokotov. He is the author and creator of PGDog. And no, we're not talking about canines. We're talking about horizontal scaling with Postgres, right, Lev?
That's right. Although I'm happy to talk about my dog as well.
Well, I have three Frenchies, so I can go all day long.
Yeah.
All right, tell us a little bit about PGDog.
Well, PGDog has been a project of mine for quite some time. I originally wrote PGCat years ago. I've been scaling Postgres for probably close to 9 years now. I started originally at Instacart. I was there during, the COVID rush, which probably everyone already forgot about. But during the pandemic, we grew the company 5x in the span of 3 months, and I was on the database team that made that happen. So I learned a lot about how Postgres works at scale, and I wanted to build a tool that makes it easier for people, less stressful. Let's say. So PGCat was the original project that I kind of pioneered and did it, and it was kind of okay. So I decided to rewrite it and call it something else. That's what we do with projects usually as engineers. Out with the old, in with the new. So PGDog now is its spiritual successor. That's, I think, is much better, much faster, everything is honestly much better. So yeah, scaling Postgres has been my If you could,
So
you could
is it an extension or is it user space? How does it work?
It's a proxy. It's like a connection pooler, just like PG Bouncer. It operates on the same architecturally on the same level. But what's novel about it is that I bundled the Postgres parser directly inside of it, so it's 100% SQL compatible. And we interpret queries, and we decide what to do based on the contents of those queries. So we can do direct to shard routing, we can do cross shard queries. We just understand how Postgres sharding works, and we make that automatic for the application. Like you don't have to change your queries. We just we figure out what to do with them, or we even rewrite them these days to make it work like as you're talking to just one single database.
So as a part of this, just so we're clear for the listener, are you also a connection puller?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so we do connection pulling and we do horizontal scaling. I do have to ask though, I mean, especially with your history with Instacart and the scaling issues that they encountered, why? And maybe you didn't do this, but on the face of it, it sounds like you did, which was reinvent the wheel over Citus. Mm-hmm. So why not Citus?
Well, Citus has a couple problems. First of all, it has only a single node that does all the coordination. We tested it at Instacart and that didn't work. We needed at least 6 to 12 coordinators to scale our traffic. So that was an automatic deal breaker. Second of all, the second issue was the way it works, the way it operates is that people are expected to use Citus primitives to scale your database. You have to use Citus functions and Citus distributed tables. When you come into an existing application, you don't have any of that stuff. You basically need to rewrite huge chunks of your app, and that's not possible at a scale. At least our scale at Instacart, we had 6 million lines of Ruby, and we were not going to rewrite that in 3 months.
6 million lines of Ruby alone. I mean, you've got your issues there. And I'm not anti-Ruby, don't get me wrong. I mean, for all of Postgres world runs on Ruby, but yeah, I mean, that's a huge code base for Ruby.
Yeah, so you need a surgical solution, a solution that you can tweak, that you can adapt to your existing application. That's the main differentiator between PGDog and Citus. We don't assume anything about your application. We try to fit in as well as we can, really. There's other differences, performance for one, but that's always a contentious topic. But I can address it really quickly. We're much faster than Citus simply because we don't run inside Postgres. We're not an extension, so we're a very fast network-based Rust connection pooler with the parser included into it. So
hold on. Yeah, you did touch on something there. Now, wait a minute. No question here, sure. Because traditional methods of thought are that the closer you are to the kernel, and it doesn't matter if we're talking about Postgres or Linux or whatever, the closer you are to the kernel, the more efficient the process is going to be. Mm-hmm. So and Citus runs not in the kernel, but it runs as a kernel module essentially, right? It's an extension with a coordinator to pass things around to nodes. So how is it with you being in user space? And by the way, the fact that your Rust is cool, I don't know if you probably do know this, but PG Central, we're the nonprofit for PGRX.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big
So,
fan.
yeah, it's all great stuff. You should support us. No, that's a whole nother thing because we're trying to get, we're in the process of getting open collective running for PGRX and stuff like that. And this is not a slam on open collective, but it's been kind of a pain in the butt because like we don't have Stripe and they want us to use Stripe and all that jazz.
Okay.
Yeah, so just administrative stuff that it's not sexy. But with you being in essentially user space, right? How is it that you're? I'm not going to say more efficient because efficiency doesn't always mean fast. So how is it that you're faster?
Well, I mean, Citus is in user space too. It's an extension from Postgres, right? It all runs in user space. Like they don't have a kernel module. Postgres runs in user space, right?
Sure, of the OS, absolutely.
Yeah, so like, and Citus needs to talk to data nodes anyway, right? So there's a network hop to do any kind of work, right? So you talk to the coordinator, it figures out what to do with the query, where the data is, and then starts fetching the data from the data nodes, assembles it, sends it to the client. So functionally, we are, in that sense, very similar, right? The reason why we're faster is because the routing layer that we have is much more lightweight. Like we're not inside Postgres, we're not a process-based architecture. We're like asynchronous thread-based, super lightweight. We don't spin up any of the machinery that Postgres needs to execute a query. We just like for direct to shard queries, it just flies through and it's infinitely more scalable because you can spin up 100 PGDogs in parallel. You can use hundreds of CPUs on hundreds of separate nodes, and they're all configuration based, so they don't even talk to each other. So for direct to shard queries, the performance is probably an order of magnitude faster. For aggregates, cross shard queries, it becomes a little bit of a moot point because they're so expensive by design. Then whatever optimizations you have, if you gain a few milliseconds, 10 milliseconds here, 20 milliseconds there, the base query takes like a second or two. Nobody cares. But for direct to shard queries, I think it's a big win.
Okay, so let's ask a simple question. What license is it under? Number one.
Oh, AGPO.
Okay, great. And then so this all sounds great, right? Because we've done some deployment and support work for Citus, and we've run into limitations here at Command Prompt with it, but we've also had great success with it. But we're always looking for new tools. So if you were talking, and you are, if you're talking to Command Prompt, who's the oldest of the Postgres companies, tell me why I should tell my guys, take a look at this.
Well, that's a great question. I wish I had like a quick elevator pitch, but I think it's just the technology is super cool. It's the performance is better. The ergonomics of it, I think, will be better. It's easier to deploy into existing applications. You should be able to validate if this thing makes sense in like 5 minutes. Just like pull the Docker image, the config examples are in the repo, just run a few queries and see what you get. I think the setup time is also quicker. So I think it's worth 10 minutes of you guys' time to just take a look. And then if you're not convinced by then to try a little bit more, then, I haven't done my job.
Now, you said a couple things here. You said you pulled in the Postgres parser. Very cool, by the way. To what version? How far back can we go?
I think 17 right now. I'm using a library called PG Query. It's by the PGAnalyze guys. I think they're support up to 17, but they're adding 18 like this week.
Though. How far back can I go? Like 13. Will it support 13?
Oh, I mean, I think so because Postgres language is backwards. They haven't broken backwards compatibility once on the SQL language, right? So the new parser should be able to parse.
They did. They did in a version that you're definitely not going to support. Let's put it that way. Because if you think of it this way, take recursive queries, right?
Okay.
There's versions that don't even support that.
Oh,
right?
okay. Well,
right. So that's the type of level that I would look at as a concern, but that's pretty far back, right? I think that's 8.5 before 9.0 or something. I mean, that's back when you weren't even out of high school.
That's true.
That's a long time ago. Okay, so I wouldn't worry about that. But that would be the type of thing that I would look at.
Okay.
And the reason is, command prompt's been around so long. We have clients that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So they're not running 17. They're not running 18. They're not even running 15, right? Because there's no reason to. And it's not that there's anything wrong with those releases. We have plenty of clients that do run them, and it's awesome, and we love it when they do because we get to use the new stuff, right? But there's plenty out there that are just like, yeah, so 12 or 13's end of life, so what? It's been working for 5 years. Why would I upgrade?
You know what? That's a hot topic. I'm just gonna let those guys be. What you do, you. Like you are. I provide services, so if the customer's happy, I'm happy. But yeah, I think you could pretend like you're talking to Postgres 17, and if all the features are like if the parser supports it, it'll work. If some feature got deprecated and removed like 20 years ago, then I'm sorry.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah.
All right, so this is a T3D session, so we're going to have to close this down. But I do have one final question. There's got to be something you don't support, something that just doesn't work.
So many things.
Okay, honest. Fair enough.
The project is like less than a year old.
Okay.
I mean, if you look at the list of cross-chart queries that we don't support, it's pretty long. Like you have to support all kinds of aggregates, percentile calculations. There's like a list of aggregate functions that need to work, and they don't yet because they're a complex thing to implement.
Now, if they don't work, what do you do?
Can't use it. What people do to work around that kind of stuff is they set up like a dedicated massive, analytics database that they kind of ETL data into it and then use that. At least it is.
What I mean is let me say I pass something to PGDog that doesn't support. Is it going to throw an exception, or does it just like go to a single node and pass it through?
Well, that's a good question. I think right now we're going to pass it through, but I'm literally going to add some code like this week or next to like start throwing errors because I don't want people to get like silent. I don't want people to get silent errors. But yeah, right now by default, it's going to issue a cross-chart query if it can't like figure out what chart to go to, and then it's going to aggregate the results the best it can. And if there's a function that's not supported, I think right now we should probably throw an error.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. Well, with that, folks, this has been another More Than a Refresh, the T3D sessions with Lev Kokotov of PGDog fame. Give it a look. Thank you very much, Lev.
Thanks, JD.